marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stoned Appetit. We've got a doozy for you. The team grows by one more. We've got a great interview at the tail end of this one. But before we get into that, we've got a whole heap of things to talk about. Eve's got a great rundown. I was a judge in an event last night. We've got to talk about that. We've got a 7-Eleven challenge that we bring to everybody, a 5-star giveaway that we've got in the works. And then what else am I missing? Oh yeah, our friend Andy Frasco is playing at Red Rocks this weekend. That plus food news and county fairs. It's a whole episode. But before that, Chris, let's do an ad read. What do you say, brother?
I love ad reads.
Who do you want to do? Ritual or RIKI? Team R.
I'll go with Ritual.
All right, well, lead the way, Captain.
Do you like glass? Do you like having an elevated smoking experience? Then Ritual Colorado has you covered. They've got so many damn contraptions. Damn it, that's not a good one. Ugh. Eve, edit that. Everything from the high-end cannabis consumer to just the beginner who's looking to get in some glass and find that first really nice piece. They've got you covered. And they're located at a great spot right off Sheridan in between 25th and 26th Avenue. I think it's 2521
Sheridan Boulevard. Way to go, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're locally owned and operated. They're great people. Go check them out. You can check them out online as well, and they ship nationwide. So, send old mom and dad an old Christmas gift through the mail.
There we go. And for those that think we're recording this in November because of Chris's, I guess, proactive thinking for the holidays, nope, they have August specials as well. And as you're listening to this, if you happen to get paid this Friday, they're doing free lunch Fridays down at the shop. So this first couple folks that come through and buy something, they get a free lunch from our friends over at Edgewater Public Market. Nice little collaboration of local minds, local companies. Isn't that cool?
That's incredible. That's a steal.
Yeah. And speaking of really cool collaborations, let's talk about our new sponsors, RIKI Seltzers. It's Tivoli Brewery. Yep, that Tivoli, one of the oldest, breweries in the state, working with our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery, beep, 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 to combine to create a 7% seltzer. That's right. They have vodka cranberry. They got vodka black cherry. They got tequila lime. They got tequila lemon. They've got whiskey cherry. I mean, they've got a litany of different combinations. All are primed for both the end of summer and autumn season. So whether you're packing the cooler for camping or a football game, maybe you're catching a concert with our boy Jack or ready for Red Rocks, they've got something for you. They pack a punch. They've got a wide array of flavors, and they're now starting to be peppered throughout the Front Range and across Colorado. So check out with the larger purveyors, your Argonauts, your Mr. B's, your Molly's Liquors. Those folks will most likely have those Rikis, but you can also go to their website and check them out, rikiseltzer.com. I fuck with the tequila limes. I think those really slap. They even have a grapefruit that's really good, and it's not aspartame. There's no sugar. I mean, it's just they're playing the hits. It's better than High Noon, and it's not that malty bullshit you get from the beer folks. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's not 4%. You got 3% more in there, so you can get buzzed quicker.
That's exactly how math works, Chris. I like where your head's at. Well, we have a lot to cover, so let's dive right into it. You want to start with the 5-star review recaps? You want to talk about the cheesy draft and how Eve fucked that up? Or do we want to just dive right into my judging experience at Ophelia's last night?
Let me hear the 7-Eleven reviews.
Eve, give us the 7-Eleven challenge. Tell everybody what's going on viral on the internet.
Well, you guys talked about You want people to record themselves eating this new flavor, I guess, that 7-Eleven has, which was it Korean on
I
their
believe
chicken
it's a
wings?
Korean barbecue chicken wing from our friends over at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. You guys came up with this when I wasn't on that podcast, but you talked about you want people to tag you and give their reviews of it, right?
That's exactly it. I thought that we were going to have a little more detail in the conversation, but I like how you let it up. And so that's exactly, no, that's on me. I should have given us more. So what we're going to do is, it's just like the roller dogs. It's just like a Costco. It's like the people that tag us in their mozzarella stick reviews. If you send us videos of you trying the new Korean barbecue 7-Eleven chicken wings, give us a score. Does the food fuck? Would you bang it again? Let me know, post it online, and we'll buy those, and we'll send you some RIKI Seltzers. How's that? That's a pretty good deal, right? Free beer if you eat toxic food.
I think so, but I thought we were coming to this with like some reviews that were submitted, but I guess we haven't, nobody's done it
We're
yet.
just now starting it today. We haven't really pushed it forward. And so as someone who's been eating like a fat kid on leave from camp, I have just been putting down unhealthy food. So I thought it would be something we should bring back. And it's football season, tailgate foods, chicken wings. The best are at King of Wings. The worst are probably at the 7-Eleven down the street. Let us know what your 7-Eleven has. Give me a roller dog review. I don't give a shit. Let's all start getting our hands dirty out there. In exchange, I'll pick up the tab because I want to laugh at other people trying to eat gross food with me. Let's talk about something that wasn't gross. Last night, I was a judge at Ophelia's Electric Soapbox. They did a whole thing called Chef's Throwdown, which was like a chopped challenge. And they had like 8 or 12 chefs competing throughout the summer. And so last night was the finale. So I got to join Jeff from Bodega and David from Right Cream to judge the finals between Chef Lily and Chef Harrison. It was fucking awesome. So they both had mystery box ingredients like corn, spam, foie gras, peaches, prickly pear, and they had to make a cold dish, 2 hot dishes, a dessert, and a cocktail. It was one of the most cleverly done things I have seen in so gosh damn long. Chef Lily came in, she was like, I'm going to fucking stuff a squash blossom and I'm going to deep fry that thing with Chef Kevin. That's what they did. And they stuffed that thing with spam and corn to make a squash blossom, like a fried squash blossom. Chris, it was the perfect ingenuity between stonerisms and like cleverly creative thinking. Hit it with a little zest of lime or lemon. Oh, it was so fucking good. But Harrison, chef from Brixton, came back with some brutally creative dishes. He did a foie gras fat washed old fashioned. I had to write that down, be slowly. And I posted some pictures from last night from it. What he did with the foie as well, because that was a secret box ingredient. He used it 2 ways, both in the cocktail, and then he seared that bitch and put it on top of a French toast with like a prickly pear, like not even a gastrique. It was like a salt, like a syrup or something, like almost, it was so unbelievably great, only to be matched, if not best, by Chef Lily's. She's like a pastry chef by trade. And she made these donuts, Chris, that were just, she used the ricotta, so they were light and fluffy, and then used the peach for the sauce, as well as maybe some of the insides. Heavens. It was so fucking good. We've got to find a way. We'll talk with Chef Joy. Thank you to Persia for letting me be a part of this. We got to find a way to do this with cannabis and with these folks. They've got this project dialed in. Their sponsors are legit. They have got the setup for it. And the place was packed. The vibe was unreal. It was one of the cooler experiences that we have not done ourselves that I got to experience. And they're doing a second season coming up. So for everybody listening, when you see this come across Ophelia's page, I think they're Ophelia DEN, fucking get tickets, get a reservation, because it is so gosh damn cool. It is so cool, Chris. We're going to have to do this again. This is my first time we're doing this again. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm 100% in. Sounds like a great event.
Yeah, and obviously, Chef Harrison and Brixton intimately and well. The creativity knows no bounds over his restaurant. Chef Lily is actually headed to DC in the coming months, I believe, but she's still fucking slaying it here. We've got to get her on the pod. She is a freaking wizard herself. Oh, they were absolutely killing it, Chris. absolutely killing it. And just thanks again to Ophelia's, but it was one of the cooler things. And rather than like we joked about the burger battle on Tuesday and how I was like gout stricken and diabetic shock, this was a little bit leaner while still a lot of food, from hush puppies to donuts and everything in between. It was really fucking good, and it was refined as can be. It was a neat experience. So that was really a pretty cool thing.
What's like the time limit on them to create like a dish?
I'm glad you asked. So they have 9 minutes. They have to create all 5 dishes in said time, but you want to kind of get them out so you can get in, because you can't get into the next box of secret ingredients until you use the ones in the current box you have. So they opened up box 1 and it came with corn and spam. So they made 2 dishes, one cold and one hot, with the spam and corn, got those out, got into the second box where they found it was foie gras and prickly pear. And they're like, okay, I'm going to use this for this and this for that. And once you did that, you can go on to the third mystery box, and then you can kind of work your way through the meal. So as long as you use all the ingredients in some capacity, you can move along, and you don't have to bring them out like entree. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just cleverly thinking, and you finish with dessert. It was a really great concept. 90 minutes is a ball busting amount of time. You don't get very much time.
Yeah.
Chef Lily seared a bison steak as well, so that takes a couple minutes. I was thoroughly impressed. It was really fucking cool, Chris. But that's all I got. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing this weekend. I teased it earlier in the episode. We've got Andy Frasco playing with Slightly Stupid on Sunday. Friend of the program, repeat guest, repeat offender in multiple states. I thought that should be something of note, that if you're looking for something kind of rowdy to do, a little Sunday fun day, Sunday, Andy is opening for Slightly Stupid. General admission, $60. Catch it. What are y'all doing this weekend?
I don't know yet. I don't really have any set plans.
You aren't going to go to the Boulder County Fair?
I don't know. I'm looking at these fairs and I'm tempted, but I don't know yet.
You seem like a fair gal. After your experience, like maybe that wasn't technically a fair, but they're all
was
the same. Okay.
I like a good fair. It's true. I'm always tempted.
I thought the borough was more of a festival, Chris. She may be lying to us a little bit. I feel fair has a little less teeth in play from our vendors, and more games where you can win stuffed animals from China.
And this one has a petting zoo.
The Boulder County Fair? Well,
Yeah.
the Borough Fest did too. So that's more of the same than it is the difference. But that's not the only thing going on. There's also the Arts Festival in Cherry Creek, not the cool one that we always talk about, but there's Smash Arts Festival going on, as well as, Chris, we'll talk a little bit about BV coming up in a couple minutes, but if you're looking to get out of town, I know you're a hiker and an avid outdoorsman. The Gold Rush days are going down this weekend too. Does that tickle your pickle?
I have no idea what the Gold Rush is.
The Gold Rush days is it's a festival that's thrown down. What is it? There's 2
Are you
of
into
them.
trains? It's all for you.
Whoa, Eve, this is a family-friendly podcast.
What? I said trains. What do you think I said?
Yeah, I heard you loud and clear. Asking Chris if he likes trains is not appropriate on this podcast. This is a work environment.
Oh, okay.
Plus, of course, I love trains. Like, what guy didn't grow up loving fucking trains? If you didn't have a train set growing up, I don't know what you were into. Do y'all not like trains up there in Maine?
They're fine. I don't know why you're directing at me. You said any guy who didn't grow up with a train set. So why aren't you asking Kip what he was playing with?
Myself, but
Just
also
dig.
everybody had the Thomas the ones where like the little
Tank
tracks.
engine?
No, it's not Thomas, but like the ones that were like the wooden tracks, but they only went like in the circle into the loop, and you kind of had like the magnetic wheels so they could connect and you could add more. We didn't have like that expensive fancy stuff where a train made its own noise or went around the tracks with a battery. We didn't have that. We had the wooden ones.
I had the wooden ones.
Yeah. I mean, Eve is probably over there. She probably had badass, like a garage full of like trains and little people like waving on like a show stage.
No. But I did watch Shining Time Station, if you remember that show.
No, you're gonna have to elaborate before we get into
What?
this interview.
Maybe that's not the right name, but it was with
What train shows do you watch?
the
Eve?
guy from the Beatles is in it. I'm blanking. Nothing
Paul
from you guys?
McCartney?
No.
It's
Other
definitely
one.
not John Lennon.
No.
It's probably not George Harrison either. It's got to be Ringo or Paul.
Yeah, Ringo was in it. He was the train conductor.
Oh, no, I didn't see
So
it.
Really?
nobody watched it.
Nobody
Are
fucking
you serious?
Nobody cares about Ringo. We'll ask Jack about that. But no, that's an interesting show. That wasn't for us. Must have been a Northern thing.
I'm making sure it's the right
Propaganda.
name. Yeah,
Is that-
Shining Time Station. It was on like PBS.
Okay.
Really?
I didn't watch it, no.
Oh wait, no. George Carlin was the conductor, and Ringo Starr was. Wow, I didn't know George Carlin was in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I hate that I didn't. I may have to give this a look-see back. Huh.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like we have a loaded docket of things to do. Whether or not the team is doing them specifically, that's for another day and another time. But I appreciate y'all taking the time for today's podcast. Anything else that we missed before we get into our interview? Oh, fact of the day.
Yes, and the 5-star review. Just a reminder, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, reviewing the podcast, something that'll make us laugh. And we'll choose the winner, and whoever wins will get 2 VIP tickets to Denver Food and Wine Festival, which is September 6th to the 9th.
Nice.
So leave a review, 5-star reviews only. Don't be a dick and leave a 4-star. Otherwise, you won't get picked.
That's exactly right. We don't like 4 stars. We like 5.
Correct.
What's our fact of the day?
Well, I know it's been killing you. This question's been roaming around in your head, but you've been asking yourself, what's Eve's favorite candy? And I'll tell you, it's for sour candy, it's Sour Patch Kids, candy bar, Snickers, and I guess like a fruity one, Jelly Bean Skittles. Or no. Yes, Jelly Bean Starbursts. That's what I meant to say. Those are
Okay.
good.
Those slap.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
I'm a Nerds Gummy Cluster guy myself. I have oftentimes wondered what your favorite candy are, but just based off of your personal demeanor towards us, I was expecting things like, I don't know, like a Mr. Good Bar or a Payday. I didn't think you were just going to be, middle of the road Snickers, Sour Patch
So you thought I was
Kids.
like a grandpa, is what I'm hearing.
Well, I thought you were just going to have more like odd tastes than the most high profiled ones. So that does surprise me a little bit. And at least I now know what to put into your stocking at the new studio for Christmas, as Chris alluded to earlier.
You got to start early, guys. I'm just getting ahead of the game. No, you know what it was? What was so odd was
You're not wearing a shirt?
Yeah, that too. I was out on a walk earlier and a little ice cream truck came by and it was playing like not the traditional ice cream truck music. It had like the beats of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I think that might have been in my head. And that's why I just said Christmas. I don't know why.
Okay.
Or
That's
you can
weird.
shop there for upcoming birthdays, whatever you desire.
I can't believe Eve didn't talk about Casa Bonita, but I guess that's for another day.
But did you want to talk about the cheese draft?
We'll wait until it keeps going because I dropped it
Okay.
on Wednesday when we're recording, and we'll announce the winner on Friday on social media. So if you're listening to hear if you won the cheese draft, you'll just have to keep waiting. I think we did a really good job today, guys. I hope you'll have a wonderful evening. Don't forget, if you're listening to this and you're looking for a date night tonight, the Beard Foundation is hosting their Denver fundraiser tonight at the Bindery. Check it out. You can get tickets through the Beard Foundation website. Until we're about to be back together in an interview in 5 seconds. So y'all enjoy, listeners. We'll see y'all next week. Eve has a great sign off this week. I can feel it in my plums. Now it's time for Jack White.
Why don't you practice proper Zoom etiquette and have some good lighting so you're not just some shadow person we see?
Kip does it, so I can do it too. Okay, who gives a
Whoa,
shit?
whoa. We have often said on this podcast, it is very much a do as I say, not as I do kind of pod. Chris, are you giving in to Eve?
Huh?
Well, Naked Chris. is
No!
putting Chris-
God
There you go.
damn
There's
it.
Our HR team is going to have a field day with this.
none of this gets reported. None of this gets reported.
It's all right. I have a spam folder where I send all of Eve's HR requests. She thinks she's talking to someone named Janice. It's just Kip. Those voices y'all heard are the regular assassins of the podcast, but we have a kick-ass episode as we alluded to, or kick-ass interview as we alluded to earlier in the episode. We want to introduce our newest correspondent, the man with a plan. He's going to be the boots on the ground, the Red Rocks rebel, the Mission Militia. I don't know what name we're coming up with it, but everybody, I want to introduce Jack White to the podcast.
Howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing all right.
Is that accent not fucking amazing, y'all? I found another Southerner.
Oh shit. All right. Should we just dive right in?
Let's do it.
All right.
Well, before we do that, let's give a shout out to our sponsors, RIKI Seltzers, the perfect cocktail for any pre-concert libation party that you may be looking for. You can find them across the metro. 7% alcohol, Chris. The seltzers taste better than High Noons, and they hit harder than anything else on the shelves, at least in the seltzer section. Check them out, RIKI Seltzers. They're brought to you by our friends over at Tivoli Brewing and our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery. All right, now go for it, Chris. We got to make sure we pay the bills.
All right, Mr. Jack White, are you a transplant or a native to Colorado?
Like most everybody else, I'm a transplant. So if you can tell from my voice, originally from Tennessee, did spend a couple years out in New Mexico, and then went back to Georgia before coming back out west to Colorado 2 years ago. So transplant for sure.
Whereabouts in Tennessee did you grow up?
Down in southeast Tennessee, so it's called Chattanooga. Right.
Yeah, it's a fucking big town. Like, people know where Chattanooga is.
Fourth largest in Tennessee, but yeah, decent size.
People have seen Ruby Falls before. Everybody sees those signs. We all get it.
Yeah,
Ruby
they used
Falls,
to have
Rock
the
City.
fastest Wi-Fi in the world, didn't they? For like
They
1 year in
did.
2004.
For a year, and then everyone else copied it after that. But it was a great year. We were big time for one full year, and then
Your porn had less pixels than anybody else.
know it.
So how'd you end up in Colorado?
It's a funny story, honestly. I was in my senior year, just applying for pretty much any job I could find online, and got the first offer, and it happened to be out here in Denver. And I said, that's fine, let's do it. So kind of ran with it. Most of my friends just went to Atlanta after graduation, and I wanted to break that curve a little bit. So decided to test out Colorado. I've been out here once before then, and I liked it during that one weekend I was here. So figured why not try it out, and been here 2 years since.
Chris, in addition to his love for music, he also graduated from an SEC school, which I know you can't say, but I know your fandom is of one. And y'all will probably butt heads almost every Tuesday going forward for the foreseeable, for the next 3 months. Y'all are going to probably talk a little bit of shit, for obvious reasons.
Oh, are you a volunteer?
He's a Georgia
No, thank God. Thank God. I'm a 2-time back-to-back national champion Georgia Bulldog, actually. So,
Well done,
life is good
sir.
right now.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, Chris, that was a great question, asking him why he came out here. And it takes a lot of stones to just pack up shit and move across the country, especially when the comfortable or, your friends may be right down the street. The reason we all kind of came together was because we all have similar interests, whether it be losing a lot of money gambling on SEC West football, or it may be catching a show on a weekend. So when you and I started speaking, Jack, and you were saying that you said something very eloquently, like, we do food and weed really well, but we wanted, we say it in our mission statement that we love music, booze and things of that nature, but we don't always have the time for it. So we're stoked that you reached out, the go-getter in you happen to want to do this, and you created an account, which will be a subsidiary of the Stoned Appetite brand, called Bums and Beats. And I fucking love that title. What a genius name. Bravo, my friend. Your entrepreneurial spirit really shows through your willingness to kind of take on the unknown. But really, the page is only going to amount to the quality of the music that you actually enjoy. So it kind of depends on if the music sucks. Like, if you're catching shitty bands, then the social media page is never going to catch wind, and the reviews will never gain clout. So let's ask you a couple of questions about your music preference.
Yeah.
What got you into music? What kind of music did you listen to growing up?
Yeah. So what got me into music is, I think, the same thing why you started your podcast, food and beverage and culture just bring people together. And I think music is also another great connector of bringing people together. So when I was growing up, I'm actually what's called a parakeet, which means both my parents are parrot heads. So they're a big fan of the Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reapers. So I always remember my first show growing up. I was 7, went to Lakewood Amphitheater in Atlanta, Georgia for my first ever concert, which is Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefers. The first time I ever smelled marijuana, actually. I was 7, asked my mom what that smell. She politely explained it to me. Little did she know the next day I had to go to summer camp, and that's the only thing I told all my camp counselors and friends that I smelled marijuana for the first time last night. So that was a great debut into my live music experience. And still to this day, Jimmy Buffett, he's a GOAT. He's top of the game, one of the best of all time. But these days, listen to a lot of jam bands, of course. Widespread Panic, straight out of Athens, Georgia, one of my favorite bands. Listen to the typical characters in the scene. Saw a great String Cheese Incident show at Red Rocks a couple of weeks ago. And pretty much anything I can get my hands on. I'm trying to expand out a bit more. Went to Shiny Ribs at Opehlia this past week, and that was different type of music, but equally great and enjoyable. So kind of all over the place, but I do love me some Widespread motherfucking Panic. So
You see why I like him, Chris? He's a good old boy. He's a degenerate gambler. If I had to guess, he's drinking a snub-nosed Coors Banquet right there, if not a RIKI
yes,
Seltzer.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
But he's got a good head on his shoulders. The fact that he grew up a parakeet, excuse me, it begs the question, how many Jimmy Buffett shows have you been able to catch in your tenure of, I guess, being a parakeet?
Yeah, so it's double digits for sure. I don't know the exact number. I have to go back to my spreadsheet, which I've kept track of. I started doing it about 3 years ago, and I've tried to remember every show I've seen and put a little date and time and a review rating on it. So I'll have to get back to you on that exact number, but it's definitely up there in the mid, probably around 16 or 17, I would say.
I fucking love it. And
Hold
I
on.
mean, you go ahead.
I mean, the intro you experienced to music has to be one of the best I've ever heard. Like going to a Buffett show at 7 years old. Holy shit. My first show is like a Sister Hazel show at the Peanut Festival. So like
Mine was or what was it? Alison Krauss at Pepsi Pops on the Reservoir.
Nice.
This guy's going to see like a fucking world famous. I mean, the guy's got like the same size mafia as the Insane Clown Posse, and he's a member of it.
Okay, so when your parents go to these Buffett concerts, I mean, are they decked out in all sorts of gear? Yeah.
It's a full weekend long. They've got the Jimmy Buffett branded tailgate grill that they hitch onto the back. They've got a margarita machine. My dad's wearing, the grass skirt with the coconut bra. They've got a ragtag group of revelers all surrounding them and around them. A lot of old women, like I'm talking 80, 90 years old. They'll pop up on the lot every now and then, but all in all, just a great time. And if you have a bad time at the Jimmy Buffett show, that's really more of your fault. I want to say that, but yeah, and it's a great experience for sure.
Eve, what do you think? You got any questions for the new hire?
Yeah. Have you been to his restaurant? Margaritaville, right?
Margaritaville. Yeah, I've been to a couple of them. I like the one in Nashville. It's always a great place to pregame before going to a show at Bridgestone. So it's a little on the pricey side, but it's worth it.
I fucking love this insight. He's giving us pregame tips, and everybody's going to be able to get this if you're following him on social media at Bums and AND Beats, BEATS. So that's the best of all the worlds. You're going to get, the same love that we have for food and weed. He obviously shares it as well, but he's got a long lineage and history in the music scene from his first show to probably now his 200th. He's got a good head on his shoulders, Chris. I think we knocked this hire out of the park.
Yeah, I meit it's always good to have somebody from the South, and definitely somebody who can bust balls with us, and maybe we can attack this Northeastern a little bit more. Two-front attack, because Kip really helps her out. But anyway,
wow. Okay, that's
true.
me, Jack. In case you were wondering who he's talking about.
I will say I do have Maine roots though, so a little bit of the Northeast in me.
Please elaborate.
Yeah. I got a family up near, with my mom's cousin, and they're all up near wherever LL Bean is.
Okay, Freeport.
I don't remember the town. Yeah,
it's in Freeport.
All up there. So a little bit of Maine in me, but yeah, mainly Tennessee and Georgia. So
I mean, that's more Maine than we have in us. So we have at least, I mean, Chris, be careful. They may be building one of those little alliances in the background behind us, and we don't even fucking know it. We just gotta we gotta keep our head on a swivel. All right, Jack. So we have a couple other questions we want to ask you just to make sure that we're vetting you properly, doing all the things that we did to Eve on her first podcast. We'll even make you edit this. We answered the first question. What's your most recent concert? I guess you said that. What's your favorite concert you've seen in Colorado?
Favorite concert I've seen, easy one. I think with the first week I moved out here, got a chance to go to Red Rocks to see Billy and the Kids with Billy Strings, also playing with them. So for those that don't know, Billy and the Kids is Bill Kurtzman's kind of side project band. He's one of the drummers for the Grateful Dead. He had Tom Hamilton, Aaron Magner, James Casey on the sax, and then Billy Strings as his sit-in guest. And it was one of those shows where, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, you listen to a certain song repeatedly, and then you go to a show and they happen to play that song. It's just a great experience. For me, it was Dear Mr. Fantasy and To Hey Jude, and they opened up with that. And by far and away, was the best show I've ever seen, and still to this day. So easy one right there.
All right. That's Chris. He's doing pretty well thus far. Let's ask some of the harder hitting questions. What do you think?
Yeah, let me
Who'd you lose your virginity to? No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Go ahead, Chris.
What's your worst concert experience ever? And it can range from like music or just like
weather, the
road,
day.
my mic road, you know, you got a little sick.
Yeah.
Mac road, the mic road.
I have another Billy Strings experience. Honestly, it's somehow the best and the worst. I got a chance to go out to, is it Buena Vista or Bina Vista? I hear people say it differently.
Buena Vista?
Yeah. I hear some people call it Bina Vista. I don't know. He had a festival out there last year, and prior to that festival, I had some sort of lump on my throat. Wasn't really sure what it was. I wasn't sick, but I thought I should just go to the doctor just in case. So they do blood work. I went on my way. I'm feeling fine. Friday comes around. I think that was Wednesday. Friday comes around. We drive all the way to Buena Vista, 3.5, 4-hour drive, whatever it is. We're in the car line to get into the festival. So once you're in line, you can't really get out, and they're doing security checks and all that. We're in line for like an hour or so. Midway through that, I get a call from my doctor saying, "Hey man, your white blood cell counts are super elevated. They're probably got strep throat or something." So that night we were already there. It was nighttime. We couldn't really drive all the way back, but had to set up the tent. Eventually the sickness started creeping over me. Had to sleep in, 20-degree weather with strep throat all night. Yeah, it was a miserable experience. Didn't really get to see her do much and had to hike it out early. But yeah, it would have been a great experience, I'm sure. But had to sleep in the cold ground in Buena Vista with strep throat overnight, and was not a fun time.
Yeah, that sounds fucking miserable. That sounds awful. So the best and the worst, the first sound great as well. I mean, he's doing pretty well on this so far. Here's a quick one for you. If you had to resurrect one musician and see them live, who would you pick?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
We're going to judge the fuck out of you.
Actually, yeah, it would probably be, it can be anybody.
Anybody.
Okay. It would be Keith Moon from The Who. He was probably one of the craziest guys to ever live. If you read up on all the stories of him trashing his hotel rooms, he put a stick of dynamite in his drum set one time on a live TV show and blew it up, and caused permanent hearing loss to his other band members because he didn't tell anyone he was putting a stick of dynamite in his drum set and blowing it up on live TV. So other than that, he was just a brilliant drummer and my dad's favorite musician of all time, the guy that kind of really got me listening to that kind of classic rock and that style of music. So more so an interesting character than a dynamic and elaborate musician. But I think if I could see anyone live, bring him back, that would definitely be who I would pick.
It's a great fucking answer, Chris. This kid's knocking it out of the park. I think we're gonna probably hire you. I think it's official. You've knocked this out of the park. Eve actually has to sign off on everything we do going forward. That's kind of the rule of the podcast. So we're gonna do the thumbs up thing like they do in Gladiator, and we're gonna see where Eve stands. Well, we know
All
she's
right.
in the. So I'm gonna give a thumbs up. Chris gives a thumbs up.
2 for
Eve,
2.
we can't see you, but Eve, will you give him a thumbs up? Jesus Christ, why'd you give him a thumbs down? Well, welcome to the team, Jack. Now that it's official, you're a member of the squad. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we should be looking forward to seeing from Bums and Beats, not only this week, but in the coming weeks, going forward?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, Bums and Beats is all about bringing people together in the Denver area for live music. I feel like it's one of the greatest things in the world and really brings everyone together. And I want to spread that with as many people as possible, and not just focus on big venues like Red Rocks or Mission, but really focus on our historic venues like the Ogden, where I'll be going tomorrow night to catch Pecos in the Rooftop, or Globe Hall, or the Roxy, anything in between. So
Drew, you want to go for a walk? Keep going, you're good.
What you'll see from Bum to Be is a weekly look ahead. I'll post kind of different bands that are playing on different days at different places and different styles of music. Post that on my Instagram. I have a Spotify playlist that I'll do every month that I'm calling the Playbook, where you can go in and listen to all the people that are performing live in Denver that month. Basically hit shuffle. If you catch on something you like, I'll put a couple other songs up there and you can go to their artist page and dive in and just really discover new artists that you might have not known about before. And so that's just the general gist of getting the word out and bringing people together. And then hopefully in the future, it can expand to meeting some local bands, interviewing them, maybe doing some giveaways for our fans and growing from there.
I mean, yeah, you have our full support. Not only you've kind of lined out some really great ideas. I love the Spotify list. I love the idea of highlighting the local and the historic venues. Oftentimes everyone talks about the Taylor Swifts of the world playing at Ball, or Pretty Lights at fucking Mission or whatever, but Lost Lake and Lammer Lounge are fucking OGs in this community. Globe Hall is fucking awesome. Catching Alex Sucks, a punk band out of LA on a random Thursday or whatever. It's awesome. And I'm stoked to have you on board because I want to tag along, and seeing you live, maybe living vicariously through you makes me want to tag along to the next one. So I'm fucking stoked to have you on the squad. You've got our full support, both in the terms of giveaways. We'll get you an email set up. So if somebody wants to invite Jack, maybe it'll be called Not That Jack White at Stoned Appetite, but we'll get you set up so that we can reach out to folks, ask if they, if we can cover the events and have you go do that, because you're doing the Lord's work and you have the exact same ethos that we have for, our beloved industries of cannabis and food. And so I think this is going to be a perfectly made fit. Chris, did we miss anything with Jack today?
Do you believe in dinosaurs?
Oh, great question.
Yes, but not all the way. Like, they definitely did exist, but I don't think they looked exactly like the artist renderings. Like, I don't know if you've seen a skeleton of like a chicken before and they somehow turned it in to make it look like a dinosaur, but it's real. I just don't think they all look the way that they think they looked. I think they definitely did exist though.
That's fair.
Bring back,
I mean, the rumors are that they all had feathers and that we're not actually portraying them properly. So I do understand. Right. And like the Velociraptor was maybe literally the size of a chicken is what, some people say. Chris works at a dinosaur museum where they try to debunk flat earthers. So he takes umbrage with anybody that defies the science that they practice over there at that church.
But second question to that question is, what dinosaur would you be?
Stegosaurus.
Nice.
That got a little bit of spike to me, but just normally an easygoing guy.
Fantastic. And I hope the Stegosaurus looks exactly like it does.
That one would be the most disappointing, to be honest. Like if you can't even see the like the big fins on the back going down, like that would be the most disappointing thing. If they were like, actually they were small scales, like an alligator, that would be so disappointing. That is a good. like if a brontosaurus or, like one of the big boys, the Allosaurus, was actually just like the size of like a car, I'd be like, you're telling me a crane is the same size of this fucking thing?
No chance.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the skeletal remains, some of those big boys. Jack, you're a trooper. Thanks for joining us today. To our listeners, to our followers on the page, be sure you're following Bums, BUMS, and Beats, BEATS. You'll get weekly rundowns of concerts coming, recaps of the ones that happened, as well as, like Jack said, giveaways, playlists, and tips of the trade of best ways to pregame Jimmy Buffett concerts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Does he still tour? Can we go see your family and do a show with your dad and your mom?
Yeah, for sure. They all live down in Florida now. So if you ever want to do a pod on the road or anything like that, we'll put you up in the guest room and go hit a Jimmy Buffett show.
Yeah, we're definitely doing that. Fuck yeah. Before I leave, you were saying something. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Yeah, no, just echoing off what you said. Follow me on Bums and Beats, bumsandbeats.com. There's a Spotify playlist on there. I'll be posting concert reviews of every show I personally go to. And if you're a local band or anything like that and want to reach out and invite me to your show, feel free to just DM me or email me or however you need to get in touch. But would love to hear from more of the bands and local scene that are just starting up.
Hell yeah. And again, he'll have access to the Stoned Appetite page. So if you're one of those bands, as we're growing this new medium, we'll still be posting all of your content on the Stoned Appetite feeds and stories as well. So same concept. Like we said, the ethos is to support local. And Jack, we're stoked to have you on the squad.
Yep. Great to be here. Great to be here. Let's make it happen.
Yes, sir. Well, you go enjoy your Thursday evening. To our team and friends and family, we hope everyone has a wonderful night. We'll talk to y'all soon. Stay high, stay hungry.
Beats and bums and beats.
B&B.
Yay, Jimmy Buffett.
Woo.
Woo.
All right. Talk to you later, Jackie.
All right,
Cheers.
see y'all.
Later.